Welcome to another episode of Inspired Content, where we'll be tasting Christmas candies again. We're into the candy cane region of the experiment, and we've got Sour Patch Kids. I'm debating, am I going to try one of each flavor, or am I just going to try one? Depends on how good... Well, I probably will taste one of each. I don't have to eat the whole thing. But we got 3 flavors. 3 sour, then sweet flavors. 12 candy canes. So it looks like we've got do we have a list of the flavors it has? No, it doesn't seem to have it. Come on, where is it? So it looks like probably orange, strawberry maybe, and then looks like green apple probably. I mean, green, red, and orange. There's sort of a limited number of options for that for most of the time. So, start with red, the semi-invisible one. Can we... No, they always do this super shrink wrapping on them, which, I mean, I guess it prevents spoilage and prevents animals getting into it, but believe it or not, humans are animals, and so if we can't get into it, like, why would you, like, making food that you can't get into is a pain in the ass. Pardon my French. Alright, so red one. Ooh. See, that's pretty good. Actually reminds me a little bit of Warheads and Jolly Ranchers. It does have some of that maybe it's synesthesia or whatever, but it contains some flavor elements that make me think of the gummy material they make these kinds of candies out of. I don't know if you can hear, but there's a solid crunch to it. So it's not made out of that gummy. But the flavor of the candy has some of those notes in it that remind me of like Sour Patch Kids, maybe a little bit of a Twizzler, Swedish Fish. You know what I'm talking about though, right? Like that. There's a distinctiveness at the core of these candies that have that chewy gumminess to them. And they've got some of that flavor somehow in the middle of these guys. Maybe it's just my brain recognizing some of the flavor notes and substituting some of the other ones. It's so used to them being paired together that my brain just takes them as, of course they're happening together. But even if that is the case, being able to design a flavor that plays well enough on those notes to let you imagine or placebo effect the rest of the flavor, that's a flavor engineer. I'm proud to have experienced their work, because that's somebody who does their job well. So green. Ooh. No, that's lime. I was expecting sour apple. No, that's lime. The first one I couldn't really peg as strawberry or cherry or whatever. Might even be raspberry. It was just generic red candy flavor. This is definitely lime, and I like it. That's a tasty one. I wouldn't say they're overly sour, but they are more sour. They do remind me of somewhere between a Warhead and a Jolly Rancher. So they got a little bit more of that pop to it. Ooh, I got this one open without having to cut it. Nice. They do sometimes have a little seam on the edge that you can pick at. And it really does have that like orange pulp taste to it. With a little bit of that rind from the peel. Because you know when you peel an orange and you have those goobers all around the outside of it that you can peel little pieces off, but at a certain point it hits a threshold of like the actual effort to remove all the little boogers isn't worth it. And so you eat it, but it leaves a little bit of a taste of that on there. And that's just part of the experience of eating an orange. It's there. I dig that. They did a really good job. Their flavor design, I wouldn't necessarily say I think of those as being Sour Patch Kids specific flavors. And I feel like without the powder on the outside, the citric acid on the outside, or the malic acid powder, it doesn't make me so much as think of Sour Patch Kids. Like if I wanted a Sour Patch Kid candy cane to be done right, I mean, these are good. Let's put it this way. These are definitely one of the better candy canes I've had this year. But if I were given my chance, I would make them out of the gummy material that they make these little guys out of. And I would maybe give them like you make this the center of it, but you coat it like you do a Skittle with that candy shell, and you dust them like you do like the sour Skittles. You make a candy cane like that, that's what I want from a Sour Patch Kid candy cane. I mean, I want these as hard candies, honestly. These are good enough. If you made a package of these as hard candies, I'd get them on a regular basis. But thematically, for a Sour Patch Kid candy cane, I would love for it to be made out of this material that these gummies are. This gummy candy. It's not really a gummy, but make it that material. You can use these flavors. I'm cool with these flavors. Give it a Skittle hard shell and dust it with the sour Skittle citric acid powder. You do that in a candy cane shape, you win the day. heck, I might try to do that. I don't know if I can crack the recipe of how to make this material that they have for these in Swedish Fish, but I'd give it a go. I'll see if I can figure it out. But for now, thanks for joining me for this one. I will see you in the next one. And until then, keep playing with your food.